why she's selective in her outrage. She says, I've never heard her condemn or speak out on behalf of the Israeli women who were raped and killed by Hamas on October 7. Have you spoken about that? Have you expressed outrage about that?
I'm not going to sink to the level of entertaining any kind of propaganda, Hamish.
Propaganda? Women killed and raped? They do it to each other. It's both sides. And now you're saying it's propaganda? Wow. No wonder no one wants to associate with you. You are way too far down the rabbit hole, Grace Tame. G'day everyone, welcome back to another video. Now we've got Grace Tame. Grace Tame is back in the news. Australian of the Year. Well, maybe not to Australians anymore. Maybe just to Albo supporters, but she's back in the news. So she was Australian of the Year, sticking up for women, abuse victims, etc., which was a great reason to get Australian of the Year. But she goes into these woke politics, these woke agendas, these radical protests, and it's just not a good look. The Australian public have turned on her, and she's pretty much lost all of her speaking gigs now for doing this. So chanting these hate speeches at these rallies, that this speech is now starting to get banned. It's so hateful because it's causing like a complete outrage and a call for violence against a whole group of people, which is a lot of them radicals take it as. That exact wording. So it's not going good for her. She's lost all of her speaking gigs. People don't want to associate with her because normal, everyday, common sense Aussies don't want to keep supporting these radical protests, this war overseas that we have nothing to do with. We don't want Australians getting more and more involved in that, especially after we just had an attack at Bondi Beach. We don't want to get involved anymore. We've had enough of it. We want to stick up for Australians. We don't want to be distracted by issues that are overseas that aren't affecting us. But you're bringing that shit over here when we have major issues in our own country we need to sort out first before we can help the rest of the world. You got to help yourself before you help others, as they say. We're in a cost of living crisis, mass immigration crisis, housing crisis, infrastructure crisis, food crisis, fuel crisis. You can go on and on. Everything's a crisis apparently nowadays. But I digress. Let's see what's happened. So she got called out for that. People are not happy. And she's got a radio interview. We're going to watch it in a little bit. But do you remember when Albo called her difficult? That upset the woke agenda big time.
Grace Tame, difficult.
Oh, it called Grace Tame difficult. This actually started a media storm because they said he called a woman difficult. That's sexist. Calling someone who looks pretty difficult, regardless of gender, now that's hating women. That's how... If you pander to these radical, woke leftists, anything you say now will be twisted against you. That's what Albo hasn't realised yet, or maybe he's starting to realise now. But obviously we know he's got some outlandish radical views, one of the worst Prime Ministers we've ever had, in my opinion. So now there's been a radio interview come out of Grace Tame speaking about this. She's lost all of her speaking gigs. She's absolutely playing victim now. She said, oh my God, I didn't know supporting a war overseas and picking a radical side to try and do chants to eradicate a whole group of people would get me in trouble. I didn't know everyday Australians don't want to be involved and associated with these radical protest groups that protest every weekend that the whole country is sick of. I didn't know by supporting this, people wouldn't want to associate with me. What a shame. No shit, Sherlock. Of course people don't want to associate with you. After you've gone out and done this, normal Australians don't want to get involved in this crap. We've got enough going on. And it's been 2.5 years or more. And they protest every weekend. It's just out of control. So let's see this radio interview of her talking now.
And you're obviously aware of the criticism that's come at you. You've described what that's been like. Have you reflected on the way your language has landed for some members of Sydney's community, particularly the Jewish community?
I certainly have. And I am... I stand strong in my convictions with a knowledge of history. And I stand with the oppressed.
She's trying so hard to play the fence. She's like, oh, I can't go against them. They'll destroy me. They're all I've got left, this radical group. That's all I've got left.
Stand with the oppressed.
And I wonder if you could answer something that's come in. Quite a few people asking about this. Timney's texted in saying, can you please ask Grace why she's selective in her outrage. She says, I've never heard her condemn or speak out on behalf of the Israeli women who were raped and killed by Hamas on October 7. Have you spoken about that? Have you expressed outrage about that?
I'm not going to sink to the level of entertaining any kind of propaganda, Hamish.
Propaganda? Women killed and raped? They do it to each other. It's both sides. And now you're saying it's propaganda? Wow. No wonder no one wants to associate with you. You are way too far down the rabbit hole, Grace Tame, to think Islamic terrorists, Hamas, wouldn't do this.
Yeah.
What's the propaganda included in that question?
Yeah.
Those things have been debunked. Look, violence is. Let's be real. Violence is happening on both sides, but this is not a fair fight. We're not talking about two equal cohorts.
Well, life isn't fair, Grace Tame. Or do you want them to be equally blowing each other up just as much? Would that make you happy?
Even marginally.
So the UN Special Representative on Sexual Violence in Conflict has said that there are reasonable grounds to believe that conflict-related sexual violence occurred. Are you saying that is propaganda?
Awful things are being perpetrated by both sides.
Well, she did just say it was propaganda. I've seen interviews of Israeli women crying about what happened to them and what's been happening. It's horrible on both sides. Don't get me wrong. I don't care. I'm Australian. This is why I'm calling out the Australian of the Year. I get retards in my comments saying, "Oh, you work for Israel. You think I would work for Israel? I don't give a shit about Israel. I don't give a shit about Gaza. I don't give a shit about both sides. Like, it's just stupid. I don't give a shit about Palestine. I don't give a shit about Israel. I care about Australia, and I care about calling out radicals that are getting Australians involved in this complete garbage. But I'm a middleman, so I will be fair to both sides. I think both sides are doing wrong, and I don't want to be involved in it. I'm not going to get involved in the debate. It's just retarded by this point. That's the only way I can explain it. It's gone so far where you got the Australian of the Year out there chanting speech to eradicate a whole group of people. And then when she gets called out on that loser all her things, she goes, I still stand with them because it's not a fair fight. Life isn't fair. If you didn't know that, Grace Tame, not everything's going to be fair in life. It's time to get out of your woke bubble and get into the real world.
This is not about whataboutism. This is not about selective outrage. I'm outraged by all of the violence. Would that we could get it all to stop.
It's just a question as to whether you've condemned that portion of what has occurred.
Yes, and that's a tactic of the bad faith actors is to try to trip people up.
It's because you're it's not trying to trip you up. If you have strong morals and stand by what you say, you should be able to condemn both sides. Yeah, I condemn if Hamas has been doing attacks and raping women. I condemn that. That's horrible. And I also condemn the Israeli overstriking and killing too many people, in my opinion. Yada, yada, yada. You can condemn both. You're just too scared because your woke agenda and your woke mind can't handle one side doing something wrong that's on your side. Your woke friends would crucify you if you just stick with reality. It's because, what do you say? Your morals don't make sense. They're not in fact. Your reasoning is in fact, it's emotional, but it's only emotional to one side, which doesn't make sense. And the reason she's getting so pressed on this is because she was Australian of the Year for sexual abuse victims. So that's why she's getting pushed on this. That's why this topic in particular, she's getting pushed on this. And she doesn't have the backbone just to admit that raping Israeli women in an attack is wrong.
To get them to condemn this and condemn that, clearly I don't support any of it. As I said, I am a human.
Well, you just said it's propaganda and you're chanting these speeches at these radical rallies. I mean, you got to make it a bit clearer.
Human rights activist who advocates for the safety of all human beings, no matter their background, whether they are Jewish, whether they are Muslim, whether they are Christian, whether they are atheist. We shouldn't be here arguing over brass tacks. I mean, just look.
Well, no one would be arguing if you just said like a normal human being, a rational human being. Yeah, I condemn that. It's horrible. They shouldn't be doing that. Instead, you're going, that's propaganda. Oh, that didn't really happen. Oh, maybe it did happen, but I don't want to talk about it. Don't put me on the spot and try to defend a side that my radical side won't even talk to. Do not do that. It's like you can see it unraveling. The biasy is too strong.
Look at the hypocrisy.
To be fair, let's not diminish the what we're talking about. It's rape and gang rape. Those are the allegations. I don't think it's arguing over.
I do not diminish any of
tacks.
those things, Hamish. As someone who has been raped multiple times as a child myself, I have been choked, hit, spat on. I've been locked in cupboards. I have seen pretty horrendous things that human beings are capable. I do not dismiss any of it, no matter who the perpetrator is and no matter who the victim is.
Well, why are you saying it's propaganda then? And don't try to do the emotional card. It's horrible what happened to you, but that doesn't excuse the fact that you're saying that's propaganda, spreading these lies through your radical agenda.
What I think is really important is to, remember what the broader context of this whole thing is. So. I think it's frankly embarrassing for, this particular shadowy cohort. The Israeli defense minister called me outrageous.
That was painful to watch. That whole conversation could have been avoided if she said, yeah, that's really bad what they did as well in that particular day, that particular attack. But her agenda had to say it's propaganda. And you know her real view. She's trying to play the fence, but she keeps letting little bits slip out. And when the interviewer actually questions her on that, what do you mean propaganda? What do you mean you do this? You support? She goes, I've been a victim. You don't think I know what it's like? It's like, no one's saying anything about you. We're talking about what's happened. You said it was propaganda. And now when I'm saying, do you condemn it? You're getting all angry that I'm calling you out about it. So this is where this double-edged sword comes in. Like I said, I stick up for Australians. Australians first. That's what I want. That's what we all want. So start sticking up for your own country. You're spreading this divide and this hatred, doing these speeches at these radical protests straight after we just had a mass attack on our own people is disgraceful. And I'm going to keep calling it out. I don't give a shit what these woke people say. It's not okay to go out there and do these chants and do these protests non-stop. When Australia is struggling itself. You're Australian of the Year. You should be out there sticking up for Australians, not getting into these cults of these radical protests that you can see by this interview don't have logic and don't have consistency in their morals. That is one of the biggest things that people get pissed off about. If you don't have consistency in your morals, you've already lost. You've already lost the debate because you don't have reasoning, you don't have logic in your morals. You're only sticking up for one side, your agenda. And that doesn't fly. Australians aren't that stupid. Anyway, comment down below what you think. And this is a hot topic. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, join to be a member. Covering these type of topics doesn't give me much support from YouTube. So joining to be a member helps me out a lot. I want to thank you all for supporting the channel and I'll see you in the next one. And make sure you comment. I want to see what you think about this video.